Thank you. Good morning. So, all right, let's start by stepping back in time a little bit. You see, there have been 4 industrial revolutions. Started with mechanized production, the 1700s, started in England. Changed industries a great deal, especially the textile industry. Put automation in the system, created efficiency. It created a lot of opportunities, but also challenges. People thought they were going to lose their jobs to machines. Second one, mass production. This came along about 100 years later with electricity. Again, just brought more automation, more efficiency into a number of industries. It created big industries in cities, and people started moving from rural areas into these big industrial hubs and cities. The third one was the advent of digital, the 1970s. Again, we saw automated production improve efficiency in business as data and information became dynamic and more automated. We're now in the 4th revolution, characterized by this mass adoption of digital, characterized by mass adoption of mobile. And we've never been in a time like this where we've seen innovation at this breakthrough speed. It's unprecedented. And I think companies, some are running ahead of the field on this, some are being challenged. They're asking themselves a lot of questions. How do they move fast in these new economies? How do they change existing business models? You know, if you were a bank starting today, you probably wouldn't look like Barclays or US Bank. You'd probably be an app or a digital service. If you were an automaker, you probably wouldn't make cars. Maybe driverless ones, but again, you'd probably be a digital company. You'd probably have an app. In retail, if Walmart was starting today, probably wouldn't look like Walmart. It may look more like Amazon. It may look more like Jet. So all these companies are going through these challenges, and business is changing fast. And the travel industry is no different. And one of the major things changing it is mobile. So mobile has quickly moved from just being a technology, now it's a consumer behavior. You know, I feel naked without my smartphone. It's a consumer behavior for most of us. It's now an appendage. We can't be without our smartphones. It's changing our business. It's changing the travel industry. It's changing every business. And it's not hard to see why. You know, when Steve Jobs announced the iPhone in 2007, 6 months after that, there were about 140 million on the planet. Now we're approaching 2.5 billion. Changes everything. More and more smartphones. And we're using more and more devices every day. So 40% of us use 3 or more devices every day. It creates massive opportunity, but also creates a challenge of tracking these people across the multiple devices that you're using every day. Challenge for marketers. And for more and more people, their smartphone is their primary access point for the internet. And I think we're halfway through this mobile revolution, 2.5 billion smartphones. In 4 or 5 years, that will double. And if you look at the growth here, worldwide population will increase, over 16 mobile users, but smartphones is where the growth is. So we think we're seeing challenges and opportunities now. It's only going to grow. And we're no different. Mobile absolutely changed our business. So does anyone remember Facebook when it looked like this? Any early adopters? So this is about 10 years ago. We were the Facebook before Justin Timberlake suggested we remove the from the title of the company and become Facebook. It's all true. We had a desktop business, and it was a good desktop business, and we had desktop business for a long time. But the company went through a major pivot about 4.5, 5 years ago. Mark called an all-hands company meeting and said, "Look, we can't ignore this anymore. We can't ignore the growth of mobile. We can't ignore this platform. It's quite obvious where everything is shifting to. It's shifting to mobile. So from today forward, don't bring me any more desktop plans. Everything needs to be mobile first. This company needs to be mobile first." And I think you would have seen in the past 4 years how we've evolved. So we've moved from being Facebook to now a family of apps and services. Facebook, we now have monthly 1.59 billion monthly active users. In India alone, 142 million every month and growing fast, over 1 billion daily visitors, and the majority are accessing it on a mobile device. We have WhatsApp, which we bought about 2 years ago. That hit 1 billion people 3 weeks ago. Just an incredible platform. So our second platform with 1 billion people. And to give you some context, there are 30 billion messages sent every day on WhatsApp. That's 50% more than global SMS. So a big platform and growing fast. We have Messenger, just hit 900 million. That's on a solid path to hit 1 billion before long. And we're pretty bullish on our Messenger products. We're investing a lot in Messenger. And of course, Instagram. Instagram also on a nice growth curve, 400 million and growing. So we've changed a lot, and it's thanks to mobile. So that's absolutely the biggest trend. Number 2 is media consumption. It's stacking, it's not shifting. So I don't know about you, but this is certainly a normal in my household. It's not very often I can just watch TV by itself. I have to have a smartphone at the same time or a tablet, and I think that's becoming the new norm. So we're multi-screening more and more, which is adding media time. So last year, the average person spent about 12 hours a day consuming some kind of media. It's frightening. Well, 75% of our waking day, we're consuming media. Digital is growing that, and within digital, it's mobile. So about 25% of our time, 25% of our media consumption is on a mobile device. And other mediums are declining. So this is TV in the US. The older demographics are still watching as much TV as ever, but the younger ones are declining fast if you look at the past 5 years. And the third trend, so we're absolutely in this mobile-first world, and it'll become more immersive and absolutely more interactive. And right now, apps are kind of pushing that. And if you look at apps, this is a slide I particularly like. If we can agree that 50 million users is a good base for any company or product, and then we look at how long it took companies to get there, it took radio 38 years to reach 50 million people. It took TV 13 years, 3 times faster. It took us 3.5 years to reach our first 50 million people. iPod, surprisingly, took 3 years. But there are companies now virtually doing this overnight. So Temple Run 2, which was a game that was released a few years ago, now took 13 days. It's incredible to reach 50 million people. And the gaming companies, the gaming guys understand this better than anyone. For those guys, it's data science, it's math. They're taking advantage of 2.5 billion smartphones. They leverage the network effect. They know how to release a game and get it installed quickly. Before long, an app will come out within 7 days, will reach 50 million people. Just incredible. And before long, probably a couple of days, maybe a day, an app will come out and reach 50 million. Gaming companies get this the best, but I see other industries following. Before long, I think probably the dating industry will be next to release an app that will get this growth as fast. Then maybe an on-demand consumer service. And travel at some point has to. A travel app will come out and reach 50 million people pretty quickly, within a week. And we're using apps more and more. So 90% of the time we spend on a smartphone, it's not mobile web, it's apps. And this metric's interesting. The number of apps that we have on our smartphones doesn't change. Over the past 3 years, the average has been 27 apps. So that means now is just a massive window of opportunity. If I was a travel company, I'd be racing to develop the best app possible. Because the average person will never have a lot of travel apps on their phone. They'll end up with one aggregator that they're loyal to, one hotel chain they're loyal to, and one airline that they're loyal to. That's probably going to be it. And if we look further into apps, the average number is 27, but we're using one app most of the time. The number hasn't appeared. I think it's about 43% in one app. And if you look at the top 4 apps, about 80% of the time, we're spending in only 4 apps out of the 27. And if you look at the most downloaded apps in 2015, they're here. And we did okay taking the top 4. And apps will be everywhere. So Apple announced CarPlay, Google have Android Auto. Before long, we'll have apps in the consoles and dashboards of all our cars. It'll be massive for travel, especially in big drive markets. They'll be in hotel entertainment systems. Before long, you won't be restricted to this walled garden. I'll be able to walk in a hotel and have my Spotify account playing, have my Netflix account playing, watch media that I want to watch. I think in-flight will happen eventually, probably a bit further out. And then virtual reality. We bought a company called Oculus about 2 years ago. We released that in March. That is a platform driven by apps. So we've absolutely reached this new era. And there's a gap. There's still a ton of potential. If you look last year, there was $44 billion spent on travel advertising and marketing. Incredibly, only 20% was spent on digital and only 5% on mobile. So we're spending 25% of our time on consumer media on a mobile device, only 5% of budgets. So big gap. But despite all these changes, I think there are three things that don't change, and that's consumer desire. So no matter what trends happen, I think there are three things that remain important to the consumer: connection, convenience, and context. They want to connect with a business. They want to connect with a company as easy as possible. They want to connect with devices and platforms they're using every day. They don't want to be forced to use something else. They want convenience. They want whoever they're working with to make their lives easier than ever. And they want context and personalization. If we look at connection first, connection will change over time. Connection, media that people share, media that advertisers use to communicate will change. It used to be all text. We're moving away from text, more to creative and images. And we absolutely see that in our news feed. More advertisers are using creative more than text. And now video. So this is something else advertisers are dealing with right now, working out how to move from static creative to video. And certainly people are sharing more and more videos. And before long, we'll have virtual reality and augmented reality. This is 360 video on Facebook. So you can open this in news feed, open your smartphone, and take a look around a destination. And then if you have Oculus already, you can have this in your Oculus headset and explore a destination. Messenger, another big one. So we're pretty bullish on Messenger. A lot of investments going into Messenger for business. We made a lot of announcements last week at F8. We see this as a big game changer for every industry, especially travel. We saw how effective Messenger was at connecting people to people. We think it's going to be just as effective connecting businesses to people. And you've got to be where people are. So you can see here, especially the younger demographics, they're moving away from other forms like email and using messenger products far more. Convenience, so making people's lives easy. Massive opportunity here, but also challenges. I live in San Francisco, and there's virtually an app comes out every week, this on-demand economy. You know, I can sit at home. Uber were probably the pioneers. I can sit at home and order cleaners, gardeners, groceries, fast food, shipping services, you name it, there's probably an app where I can do that. So it's creating opportunity, but it's going to put a lot of challenge on non-digital natives, like hotels and airlines. Hotels, for example, on the left, if that's a device anyone still uses, there's probably only three things you use on there: wake-up call, concierge, and in-room dining. But the smartphones replaced all three. I don't need a wake-up call. I set it on my smartphone. I don't need a concierge. I can use a digital assistant like M or one of the other ones. And in-room dining, I could probably use a service like Grubhub and get a faster, cheaper, better service. So hotels, they're already under attack, losing ancillary revenue in telco and in-room entertainment. I think it's going to get worse. If I think about all the services I would think about before booking a hotel, and services that they would make decent streams of ancillary revenue from, it's going to change. I don't need in-room entertainment. I have my tablet, I'll watch Netflix instead. Reservation, probably use an OTA instead of the hotel. Parking, I don't even hire a car anymore. There's no parking revenue for the hotel. I'll use Uber. It's far more convenient. In-room dining, I'll use Grubhub. The restaurant, I'm not stuck with the hotel's restaurant. I can use OpenTable and find one nearby. Spa, I'm not restricted to the hotel. I can use Style Seat. Minibar, if there is a minibar in the hotel, I'm not restricted to that. There's now on-demand alcohol delivery services like Saucy and Minibar. On-demand alcohol delivery. This is innovation. This is what we've all been waiting for. The gym, I'm not stuck with 3 treadmills and a rack of weights. I can use ClassPass and find a better gym nearby. And laundry, I can use Washio and have a much cheaper service. So I think the hotel's a challenge, because all I really want now is good Wi-Fi, bathroom and bedroom, a nice room in a good location, because I can have 4-star service with my smartphone. And this is only going to give rise to companies like Oyo Rooms and Airbnb. And the last one, context. So this is about personalization. Personalization just gets more important every day. We're spending 12 hours a day consuming some kind of media. Everyone's vying for our attention on a daily basis. You know what? Whatever company or industry you're in, right now, everything competes with everything else. If you're an airline, you're not just competing with other airlines, you're competing with everyone else advertising for my attention. So whatever company you are, you're a pixel in there somewhere. It gets harder. And we always get asked the question, so what should we do? What makes good advertising on Facebook? What ads work? And the answer we give is probably an answer, if I worked in marketing 50 years ago, I would have given the same answer. It's all about personal relevance. You know, if you set your objectives well, and you define your target audience well, and you hit them with a relevant message or a relevant ad, guess what? It'll work. And you'll hit your objective, whether it be a brand objective or a direct response objective. And that's happening now at scale. So Facebook, one of the things we are good at is we know a lot about people. We have this breadth of 1.59 billion people you can target very well, and companies are leveraging that now. So connection, convenience, context. You know, on the back I used a picture, maybe this is a Pan Am jet from the 50s. People loved travel back then. They loved travel, they loved traveling, because you had a personal connection with the brand. You had a personal connection. They made it super convenient for you. It was a luxury service. And there was a lot more context. They knew you, they knew the name, you knew your wife and kids. But it wasn't scalable. Now it is scalable. Connection, you can connect with 1.59 billion on Facebook, 2.5 billion smartphones. It should be a marketer's dream. You can reach anybody, anywhere, anytime on devices they're using every day. You should be able to provide more convenience in your service than ever before. And context, you have a wealth of signals and data at your disposal. No interaction should be vanilla. Every interaction, transaction you have with someone should have context and personalization. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, to lead the question and answer, please welcome our talkbackers for this session to the stage. Fergal Mooney, the CEO of Hostel World, and Santosh Rao, Senior Vice President, Holiday IQ.
Ali. So Lee, that was a fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
And it was interesting actually just the way you started with the Industrial Revolution, then kind of the revolution that Facebook has gone through, kind of moving from what started as just social, then right through with Instagram and with Facebook Messenger and Oculus and so on, and really how it's really opened up into being something much, much bigger, much more than that, right? And I kind of thought about, I've personally been going through a little bit of a revolution in relation to Facebook as well, right? So just lay my cards on the table, you know, at a personal level, I've always hated Facebook, right? I like the idea of every kid from kindergarten connecting to me and following my every move. I just didn't get that, right? And at a professional level, right? I love Facebook, right? Because our customers are the millennial customers. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram all the time, right? And if that's where they are, that's where I gotta be. Sure. And we're doing more and more work with you, and we're getting some good results from it. So really love that. So I've been trying to bridge that kind of gap from the personal to the to what I know is beginning to work for us on a business sense. And I think like a lot of people in the online travel space, trying to move away from reliance on Google paid search and so on, right? And trying to understand how we can do more with you guys. What sort of challenges have you seen in terms of trying to get dinosaurs like me to kind of get that and to help us, you know, understand?
Well, one is actually getting you to use Facebook.
Right, okay.
Here's the, you know, the major challenge we've had is the word social. I've been at Facebook nearly 4 years, And the biggest hurdle companies have is that word social, because I think it's really been overcomplicated. And if I look back 3 years ago, companies were racing to get likes and fans, and companies thought, you know what, it's the company that's going to get 1 million likes first or 2 million likes first that's going to win this game. And then they were talking about virality and sharing and how you measure the value of a share. And it didn't really work. It's impossible to tie that back to real business metrics. And no company should have an objective of being social. No CEO starts the quarter and says, okay, guys, this quarter we need to be more social. So I've seen that evolution. Companies who understand it now, and the startups and the OTAs are ahead of the game, they don't even have social departments or social people anymore. What they do have is very solid objectives. So we work with these companies, and the objectives are normally these three. They're normally app installs, getting your app out there. It's normally a brand objective, driving brand awareness or brand recognition, or it's a sales awareness, driving booking. So they've moved away from these social metrics. We work with their brand team on branding, their acquisition team on bookings. They're very concrete with the objectives, and the most important part is measurement. So on brand, we work with Nielsen. If you run a brand campaign on Facebook, we can measure real brand metrics, whatever brand metrics you want to measure. We don't have to make up new metrics like engagement and likes and fans and tenuously try to tie them back. If it's bookings, we can measure conversion on your site and bookings generated. An app install, we can measure ROI. So that's been the real shift I've seen. Companies who just lose the word social because it's irrelevant. And I still think we're on that journey. There's still a lot of education to be done. Like I said, the startups are ahead of the game. The OTAs are ahead of the game. The major hotels are starting to get there. The major airlines are starting to get there. But if you look at the non-digital players and the larger companies in supply, they are still stuck in social to some extent. They still think it's about likes and fans and sharing. As soon as they lose that and they just see, look, this is a media platform. It's an advertising and marketing platform where there's huge reach and I can target, they're good.
So, but on that lead, help us a little bit more, right? Because even with our organization, so Facebook we had a separate social team that was all about social initially, and now we still have a bit of that, but it sits with our acquisition team, right? So they're driving it, and we're doing more and more with you, right? At the same time, our earnings call 2 weeks ago, we talked about the fact that we're moving more dollars from TV into online digital channels. You're a piece of that. You're not all of it. You're two pieces of it with Facebook and Instagram, right? But some of the kind of senior marketing execs are saying, you know what, Facebook, they've got a hard-hitting sales team, but they're not particularly helpful. They're not particularly inspiring in terms of helping us to stand out, right? They're kind of saying, okay, if you got more money, great. Why don't you spend it on Germany, because you're not doing as much there as you're doing in Canada, for example. But there's nothing more than that coming in terms of helping us make that shift and give spend more dollars with Facebook than with other channels.
Well, we're scaling the teams fast, so we have teams in every country now which are working with our top partners. We also scale through marketing partners, so there are a number of companies springing up that are really digital agencies that we endorse, a handful, and we also use those guys to scale. So whatever country you're in now, there should be
So does that mean you love the agencies more than you love the direct clients who want to love you and give you more money?
It's a partnership.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah,
I'll I love Facebook personally, right? But as a brand, taking off from where Fergal was talking about, in travel, one of the things that we face is Facebook helps us target the right people, the right time, right? A lot of targeting, right people with the right interests. But one of the challenges that most of us travel brands face is about the right time, right? And I don't think Facebook is doing enough for us to, beyond retargeting. Like, how can we help target people at the right time, right? The check-in data doesn't come back to us. A lot of context that you talk about is not available to the brands to be able to tap in. And especially it becomes very useful for travel brands, leisure travel brands, where the frequency is not as high as, say, a utility apps, etc. that you speak about. And like, what are some of the products and how are you helping travel brands and tap into that?
So look, the intent signals are important, and we're working on bringing more intent signals into the system. There are quite a few teams working that one. That one is search. We've been working on search for a while. I think that's going well. The biggest or the best thing we have for intent right now is retargeting, which is just blowing up, working incredibly well. And retargeting is nothing new. So retargeting as a concept has been there for some time. And basically the concept is I go to a website, I don't transact, and I leave the website. That website, the company should be chasing me to get me back to the website to transact. And like I said, it's nothing new, but it's working well and probably the best on Facebook for two reasons. Identity and recency. So identity we have in spades. We have 1.59 billion people. We know who they are, so we have identity. And for retargeting, that means you can retarget somebody cross-platform. You're not reliant on a cookie and wait until they come back to the desktop, might be 24 hours later. You can target them whatever device they use next, tablet or smartphone. So that's a big deal. And recency is also key. So when you're retargeting somebody, especially in travel, you know, it's pointless getting an ad in front of them 24 hours later. You've probably lost the sale and gone somewhere else. You want to get back in front of them as quickly as possible. And because people are checking Facebook so often, every day, you know, 1 in every 5 minutes spent on a smartphone is on Facebook. Because you have that dynamic, because you have recency, typically you can get an ad back in front of that person within 1 hour of leaving your website.
Yeah,
so there's a big correlation there.
But on that though, on the retargeting, right?
Yep.
You mentioned kind of walled garden in your presentation, but you operate a walled garden in relation to the data on retargeting, right? So if we're doing retargeting with Google and with Facebook, we've no way of figuring out whether we're kind of double crossing and spamming the same customer through both platforms. Is there anything we can do to?
You know, we're working on giving companies more visibility. So measurement, we have a huge team on measurement. Measurement is key for our business, and giving our partners as much visibility into their business and marketing as possible. We bought a company called Atlas. So Atlas eventually will help you do that. Atlas, we bought it on 2 years ago. We're investing a ton in Atlas. I think I'm pretty bullish on it. It's a good product. It will get better. And the thing about Atlas is it's based around people. So you're not reliant on cookies, which you can't track across devices. It leverages Facebook's data, so you can see, you know, that person has been on several websites before they got to you, where they've gone after you. Right. So we're hopefully it's going to provide a really solid measurement solution and help.
And like another question I wanted to ask you, I mean, I was seeing all the cool stuff and the VR coming about.
Yep.
But when you look at markets like India, like I was talking to somebody who runs the biggest messenger app out locally, and they were talking about 5-cent data packs, 10-cent data pack, low-end phones, right?
Yep.
And video is still yet to, I mean, video play is big, video is still yet to take off. So I mean, how are you making products which can help brand marketers tap into the large base over here, but they're not necessarily in the same realm as the fancy Venice Oculus experience.
So we want to make sure that no matter what country you're in, no matter what device you're using, no matter what bandwidth restriction you're under, everyone has a good experience on Facebook. So we're making strides there. We have an app called Facebook Lite. So if you're in a country where bandwidth is expensive or bandwidth is not very good, you can use Facebook Lite. Back on campus, it's pretty cool. We have an empathy lab. So there's a room on the Facebook campus where you can go in. It's got every device you can imagine there. You can see what it's like using a feature phone in Africa. So our engineers can get a real feel for how the service is performing, what it's like on devices that are not Android smartphones or Apple.
Got it.